Well, hello and welcome to Tui Snider's Offbeat and Overlooked. This is a brand new show for me, and I can't think of a better day to launch it than April Fool's Day, and I can't think of a better guest to have on than Greg Bishop because we can have fun, be silly. Now, before I bring him on, I do have a few announcements. First off, in case you don't know who I am Tui Snider. I write books, I give talks, and I do a lot of research. I also make videos for this YouTube channel. So I know you could be watching me on Facebook too, but if you're on YouTube, I hope you'll subscribe if you like it anyway. Now I just changed the name of it to Offbeat and Overlooked. I was trying to just focus on the historic cemeteries, but you know what? I like other stuff too, and I want to do things, whatever tickles my fancy. And I have a very ticklish fancy, apparently, so I want to be able to branch out. But some of the videos you can find if you dig around. I have one about Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca. He's buried right down the street from me. Here's one that kind of ties into this weekend being Easter. I have one about astrology and the Bible because there was a time when astronomy and astrology were basically the same thing. And the whole reason, if you've ever wondered why the date for Easter changes so much, it kind of gets back to this whole astrology and the Bible and all that. I have a fun one about the alien space alien grave up in Aurora from 1897. And I am married to a mad scientist, so he happened to make I have a few videos about him making and getting into his homemade Robbie the Robot outfit, which was the famous robot. This robot's been in everything. He's been in episodes of like The Love Boat even. So you probably recognize Robbie the Robot, but I live with Robbie and Larry basically. Those are the men in my life right now for the past year. Now, I should say that I have another show that comes on Tuesdays, and that one is focused on historic cemeteries. I call it Tombstone Tuesdays because it's about historic cemeteries, and it happens on a Tuesday, the show. And this coming Tuesday, I have Daniel Allen Jones coming on, and we're going to be talking about the Aurora Space Alien Grave because its anniversary is in April. It was buried on Easter, in fact, the body, the alleged body. And anyway, we'll talk about some other stuff too, like cryptids, and we'll branch out a little from it's hard to just keep it just to cemetery stuff. But anyway, that's the main focus on Tombstone Tuesdays, and he will be my 13th show, and it's been so much fun. I do want to let's see who's here. I see some people have showed up tonight. Oh, hey, McIntyres. Hi, Greg's here. Oh, thank goodness. Man, I was worried. I didn't know if he was going to show up. Let's see. Oh, hey, Scott. Thanks for showing up. Oh, hi. Hey, Danny, you got a different thing. You're not the green man today. Oh, thanks for showing up. I think you might enjoy the show. Now, every time I do a show, I have a sponsor for the show, and it's rather facetious, of course. This time I have here, I'll show you. I thought this was a good one for tonight's show. I have, I think it was a drive-in movie theater from 1959. If we could all try time travel, we could go and we could see the show. It's Way Out. Go, Johnny, go. I love that. It's where it says, it's way out. Of course, there's Plan 9 from Outer Space. They're advertising the Mysterians and the Man Inside. But the Plan 9 from Outer Space, it would be fun to have to go back in time and kind of see how audiences react to that if we could. So, of course, now I have to say the real supporters here are my Patreon supporters, and that would be Ian, Scott, Ghost Cat, Angel, Jessica, Anne, NVJ, Ken, Patty, Sarah, Julie, Margaret, Hugh, Mikhail, Naomi, Tim, Pete, Sarah, Rachel, and the other Tui. I love it. She's no relation to me, but we have the same weird, wacky name, so she must be nifty. I see a few more people coming in. Michael Nix, hey, hi, thanks for coming. Nice to see you. A little meet and greet here. Enjoy yourselves. Have some snacks. Now, let's see. What have I told you here? I think we're just about ready to bring Greg in here. I don't want to wait too long before we bring him in here. So my guest tonight is the low-key and multifaceted Greg Bishop. Greg's been doing radio shows since 1999 in various forms. 1997. And in 1997, he was on a pirate radio station in Los Angeles, which I think is cool. Since 2000, he's been running a show called Radio Misterioso. And if you are into UFOs, high strangeness, just paranormal, just general weirdness, weird and wacky stuff, you really need to dig through the archives at radiomisterioso.com. He has incredible, really interesting, very conversational. That's why I describe him as low key, because his interviews are really fun to listen to. You just feel like you're listening to friends chatting, but then he's interviewing someone like Stanton Friedman or Whitley Strieber or Nick Redfern, Red Pill Junkie, Shannon Taggart. I really liked that one. There are so many good interviews on there. He also has episodes that feature strange, wacky music, which is a lot of fun too. We'll get to that too. But Greg is also a writer, before I forget. He has several books out. In 1991, he co-founded a magazine called The Excluded Middle. He's got some of the books he has out are like Wake Up Down There, Weird California, Operation Beta, and I am currently reading It Defies Language. I just started that a couple days ago. And I meant to I don't know where I put it. Like, I've been nowhere today, absolutely nowhere, and I managed to misplace that, but I don't know, whatever. But like me, as I mentioned before, Greg does have eclectic musical tastes. So I hope we get a chance to chat about his collection of UFO-themed music. He also has a degree in art history, so I'm looking forward to maybe dipping our toes into talking about art. He also flies paragliders. He's a licensed private pilot, as well as an aerial drone photographer. I could go on and on. He's a lot of fun. Here's when we met. It was at the UFO Congress when I gave a talk there a couple years ago, 2019. That was a lot of fun. That was a fun place. But anyway, yes, that's where we met. And so without further ado, I am just going to bring him on, and we're just going to see where this conversation goes. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Now let me see if I can hit the right buttons. Well, let's try this one. Aha, there you are. Howdy, howdy.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I guess I should talk since there's sound, right?
Yeah, there is sound.
I don't know American Sign Language, so.
Yeah, we're going to do semaphore. Actually, I just wanted you to do like an hour-long interpretive dance for us, and then we could all see how it... Oh, okay. I grok it now. Fully. No, I'll ask everybody. Sometimes, one thing I don't like about StreamYard is I can think it sounds great, you can think it sounds great, and then the viewers are like, hey, there's an echo or something, or like one of us
is
really
there
loud,
is,
or,
I'll put on headphones because sometimes there's an echo on some of these platforms.
So everybody speak up or forever just hold your peace. Let me know if there's anything wacky with the sound. Scott's saying howdy, giving you a shout out. Friendly folks are here. We got a few people watching right now.
Oh, good.
I also want to thank anybody who's watching the replay. I always forget to do that. That's just nice to know. Oh, Scott says sounds fine. I'm hearing a weird like, no, I'm not. Okay, now I'm not. It went away. Okay, well, I totally lost my train of thought. So how are you doing, Greg?
We have no train of thought on this show.
Good. I don't have much of a train of thought, so yes, it's definitely not something.
I don't ever either. I mean, it jumps. I'm so erratic in my thoughts, and I think that's why people meditate and stuff, so they're not like, and then you get up. I get up in the morning. It's like I got to do this now. I got to do this now. I got to do. And so I get nothing done. I get 15 things done 10% of the way.
Yeah, I can do that a lot myself.
Can concentrate on like doing one thing.
Mm-hmm. So you're not a meditator?
No.
Oh.
I guess I should be, but no, I've never really have.
Well, you know what? I think people meditate and don't know they're meditating. Like my husband does a lot of woodworking and craft, and I know he zones out. He says he likes sanding, and he says he gets good ideas when he's sanding. So I think that for him, that's meditation. I think for me, for many years, walking was my meditation. I would always walk to and from work, and I just didn't want anyone to. So I think there's different ways to meditate. I mean, but now,
Yeah, of course. There's walking for Zen, there's walking Zen, and standing Zen, and sitting Zen, and lying down Zen. So
I like laughing yoga. Have you ever seen the videos of that?
No, but that sounds like something perfect.
It's so fun. They do, and they have different poses. Like there's one where you pretend you have a big belly and you go, and you do, and it's a yoga thing. I'm like, that's kind of my style of yoga anyway. Well, now,
yeah, it would be mine too. Yeah, definitely. Show me the comedy yoga.
The comedy yoga, yeah, the stand-up yoga. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could do that. That would be good. Well, I mean, I guess, yoga just means connection, right? It means yoke. It's the Sanskrit word for yoke. So whatever
Hmm.
connects you to spirit, so it could be
Hmm.
yoga.
Yeah,
It could be food. Um,
flying, making food is meditative for me.
I wanted to ask, have
Um,
you had dinner yet?
no, but I'm not hungry. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Do you know what
Um,
you're gonna have?
no, not yet. I don't know. I've got to make a pot roast for my parents, so I got to do that before
Hmm.
I leave tomorrow. I'm going to go get my second COVID shot tomorrow, pack
Hmm.
up the pot roast, and go down to San Diego to see my parents.
Yeah, do that before you get your shot. Well, now I know you like to cook, but here's something I always like to ask people, especially people who like to cook, because there's always the type of food that you will serve to a friend.
Hmm.
If they come to your house, you're gonna make them something. But then there's always sort of these private food combinations that are just too weird to share. Maybe I'm alone in this, but are too weird. Like you would never share with a friend, but you
I
eat and
would.
you like.
Yeah.
Like here's a weird one. I like cottage cheese with hot sauce and peanuts. But I would never be like, "Oh, hi, Greg. So glad you came. Here,
Here's
let
some
me make you
cottage cheese
some."
with hot sauce and peanuts.
Yeah, or
It sounds like something I'd eat. I'd actually try that. Now I want to go make it.
yes, yeah, okay. I know. So I think that would be a good recipe book idea. Everybody's secret foods that are actually probably pretty good.
Yeah, lots of them. I'm sure there's a lot of weird ones too. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I make for breakfast, and this
Hmm.
isn't very weird. I mean, I'll make like leftover rice from the rice cooker, and I put the rice in the thing. I break an egg in it, put it in the
Hmm.
microwave for like a minute and 15 seconds, so it's just past being soft. And then cook bacon and put bacon in with it, and green
Oh,
onions.
I'm there.
And um, here's now I'm getting hungry.
Oh, I'm
And then,
sorry. Let's
and
talk
then
about something that
and if
doesn't make
I'm
you hungry. You're gonna be your
no, it's
stomach's gonna be
okay.
growling. Okay.
And soy sauce and white
Hmm.
pepper,
Oh
and
yeah.
sometimes if I have it, New Mexico red chili.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really weird one, but I love it, and I don't know if anybody else would. All those other things, like, oh, it sounds like some like Japanese bowl, like
It does sound
whatever.
kind of Asian, and if I
Yeah,
saw
but
that on
then
a,
you
a
throw
menu,
yeah, then you throw New Mexico red chili on.
yeah, it's very American, kind of a little fusion. Here, someone says, oh, I don't know if they're talking about it. Sounds good to me. Maybe they're talking about, I don't know what they're talking about. They might be talking about our sound. I might have just noticed that. I'm just gonna pretend they like our weird food combinations. Well, now
Yeah,
you said,
rest of
go
the
ahead.
stuff I make, usually the stuff I make for myself, I would make for other people. Like I make curry for myself, and I make spaghetti sauce for myself, and I'll make tacos, or I make a steak. I made a steak, and I found those purple potatoes that you can get.
Oh, yum. Mhm.
Yeah, I said, I wonder what happens if I would cook these and mash them like potatoes. And I had steak, corn on the cob, and purple mashed potatoes. It was delicious.
It's the start of a Dr. Seuss story. Yeah, I
It
mean,
does.
who doesn't want some
That's
nice,
exactly what
colorful food?
Mhm.
Well, okay, so you sent me so many cool like photos. I want to dig into some and ask you questions about them.
Okay.
I don't even know where
Yeah,
to
I just went
begin.
to my favorites folder on my phone, and I just said, okay, here's some.
Oh, and okay, well, here's one I think that's good to bring up because since it's April Fool's Day, and I'm just doing these in no particular order, but
That's okay. I
oh,
sent them
eh,
to you in no particular order. I just
oh,
thought, here's
good.
some stuff. Anything you break, any of these pictures, we will have 10 minutes or more of conversation if we want.
Oh, good. If we want, and now we're making other people hungry too. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I think I like our cookbook idea. Actually, I think that would
I
be
do too.
weird food. This
I
one, I
said,
think. Oh my gosh, the Tic Tac. Tell me about this.
oh, wow, I shouldn't have sent that to you. You know what? I
Oh, you
was,
should have. Oh, I can go.
it's
Oh,
okay. It's
gonna be in
already, it's
trouble.
out of the bag. Of course I sent it to you for a reason.
Oh,
It's, I was in Pedro, with Chris O'Brien.
oh
The
yeah.
sound
I really
mutilation
liked
research.
him. Hmm.
Yeah, we were visiting somebody that was doing some video work for him, or he was doing it with him. And he said, do you want a Tic Tac? And I said, yeah. And I said, wait a second. And I threw it in
Oh,
the air.
uh-huh.
I just threw it with my hand in the air, and I took my phone and I sort of followed it down and took a picture. And when it came out, that's what it looked like. And we both started laughing our asses off
That is hilarious. I was like,
because
wait a
it
minute,
looked,
what is this? Is that a Tic Tac? Oh my
it's
God.
a real actual Tic Tac. It's not the Tic Tac they described in the video
Yeah.
from the Navy. It's an actual real Tic Tac.
Well, see, now we can have them side by side for people.
Yeah, and then right. I don't know if you can see it, but I have. There's me holding the Tic Tac in the same
Oh,
spot.
okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh okay. But that is too funny. I know. I mean,
It wasn't on its end or doing anything weird or blurred. It was exactly like a UFO, like a Tic Tac flying by.
I know. I was looking at that. I was like, what is going on here? And I went, wait a minute. That looks like a Tic Tac. I'm like, oh man, that is so perfect for April Fool's.
It's a Tic Tac UFO that actually is a Tic Tac.
There really is one. Yes. Yes. Oh, man, it's so weird. I have been seeing drones lately for the first time over my house.
Oh, really?
It was kind of unsettling. I was actually getting ready to go in at night, and I was just rolling in our awning, and it was making like a buzzing noise, I thought. But then I finished, and the buzzing noise continued. And I look up, and there is like a drone just right over our roof. And I did get a picture of it. I don't have it nearby.
I don't think it's illegal to do that, but it is frowned upon. Yes, it's not
against the law. It was a bit rude. Yeah, I was like
right over your roof. There, you might have an argument there. I mean, I think if they hover and stay, you have an argument. But if they're just moving and going somewhere else, you can't really say.
They hovered for a good 5 minutes. We had a stare down. I was just like, I mean, I felt a little invaded, and then I heard neighbors laughing a few houses down, and then they finally left. And I'm like, what are they doing? So then the other night, I saw another one just go zipping by, and it had a blue and green light. I'm like, I don't know. That was weird, but strange. Invasion of the drones.
Well, you know what? If somebody did that more than a couple times, I'd probably throw something at it and make it fall.
Oh, there you go.
And you'd be completely within your rights to do so.
Oh, good. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because it just felt impolite, and I was like,
it is impolite.
I don't know what the legality is because so much
legality is you can fly over people's property, but you can't hover and look at them.
Oh, all right.
I'm pretty sure that's the law.
Yeah, I might be getting out my slingshot or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's devices that'll actually disable a drone. You just point it at it, and it messes up the electronics, and it just falls out of the sky.
Well, hopefully it doesn't get to that, but it could. It could. All right. Well, let me see. I'm going to dig around too because you got so many fun things in here. What do I want to look at? Well, I don't know. I don't even know where to go. You know what I'm really curious about because it made me think of Kate Bush.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
You know which one I mean? Are you a Kate Bush fan at all?
I think it's near the bottom. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Tell us the story because this reminds me of cloud busting, like the video cloud busting.
It is an actual cloud buster at the Wilhelm Reich Museum in Rangeley, Maine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's in Maine, huh?
Yeah, it's in northern Maine, about probably half hour from the Canadian border. I went there with Robert Brandstetter, who used to be known as, I think, Burnt State on the forums at what's the name of the Paracast. Anyway, I went and visited him because we both wrote for the UFOs Reframing the Debate book. Mm-hmm. So I went up to Canada, and Susan Demeter St. Clair and Robert Brandstetter were both in Toronto. And so we went out and hung out together and had a great time. I did an interview with them with my digital recorder sitting in a park in Toronto, just on the grass. That was a fun interview. And then we went to a bar and did the rest of the interview in a bar because there was no wind. It was noisier, but the wind was like bad with the microphone.
Yeah.
So one of the days I said, I want to go to the Wilhelm Reich Museum in Maine. It was...
I didn't know that was in Maine. I want to go there now too.
Yeah, it was, I think, like a ridiculous 5 or 6 hour drive from Toronto.
Oh, wow. Oh, for people who don't know, do you want to tell them a little about Wilhelm Reich?
Yeah, Wilhelm Reich was a scientist and psychologist. He was in Sigmund Freud's circle of psychologists in the 20s or teens?
Yeah, it was pretty early.
Anyway, he broke with that circle because he had his own ideas about psychology and what caused people to have mental, health issues, what caused them. He was very interested in what caused people to want to be authoritative or love authority or whatever. And he said that was a disease of the soul if you're authoritarian.
Oh, interesting.
And he had a theory of body work, which is actually fairly contemporary right now, but he was doing this in the 30s and 40s. Reiki and therapy involved pressing on different parts of the body to find out where emotions and traumas were trapped.
Oh yeah, there's a lot about stored pain and stored,
Yeah, and so that was part of Reiki and therapy. The other part of Reiki and therapy was something he called orgone, which is almost like, I guess people would think of it as the ether. But his idea was that it was something that was contained in all living things and permeated the universe in certain ways. So based on his theories, he invented this thing called a cloudbuster, which would, he said, would change the orgone balance in the atmosphere. I'm sure there's probably Reichian people going, no, right now, but this is my understanding of it. It would change the balance of energies in the atmosphere, and what would happen was he could cause it to rain in places where there wasn't rain. So basically it was a rainmaker. It was called a cloud buster because he could point it at clouds and make them dissipate too, so he said. And there's news reports from various places. In Maine, actually, there was a drought in Maine, and they couldn't bring in the cranberry crop one year. So they actually got desperate and hired him. And there's a news report from the paper saying that he was out there with his devices, and it rained where it hadn't rained in months.
I need to look for that.
Save the crops. Wow. Anyway, so what it was a device. It was very simple. He thought if he could ground this device in water, in a well or running water, and point it at an area of the sky that you wanted to draw moisture into, that it would do that. And so that's what he did, and that's what those pipes are coming down the bottom. They're like those covers for electrical cables. Those things that look like they're little ribbed kind of metallic. Yeah. He had those at the base of these tubes, and he would just point it into the sky and apparently change the atmosphere in such a way that would make it rain. So I went to that museum, which was his laboratory and home when he left Europe. He fled authoritarian regimes like the Nazis, etc. Ahead of all that, came here thinking, it's the United States. You can do whatever you want. There's freedom of thought. And the FDA came after him, and the American Medical Association got a bee in their bonnet to persecute him. And so the FDA came out at one point and, whatever he was doing.
In the background.
Oh, you know what it is? It's trash cans. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
If they do it again, I'll close the window. At the behest of the AMA, they got it in their head that he was transporting these medical devices, quack medical devices across state lines. And so when he got in trouble, he said, okay, well, I won't charge for it then. What I tell people is, pay me if it works. If it doesn't, then don't. Orgone devices.
Did he get arrested? Because in the
video,
he gets arrested, and I was like, okay, is that?
And agents of the FDA came, smashed his lab equipment, took his books, and burned them in an incinerator in New York City.
God, that's horrible.
Yeah. So he's kind of an underdog. Let me close this.
Okay.
Of course, all this happens when I'm doing an interview. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, hi. I'm saying hi to Wade there. This is a different show, Wade. I'm actually doing a different show. This is the very first of my offbeat and overlooked shows. I don't know when I'll be doing other ones, but yeah, it's not a Tombstone Tuesday. We're going to be talking about offbeat and overlooked things.
So we went on the little tour, I guess. They show you a little film beforehand, and you can go through the laboratory and look at his equipment, the stuff that's left.
Yeah.
There's even, this, I'm not sure is a working cloudbuster. It might have been. Now it's basically a memorial, basically a sculpture, I guess, at this point, that's next to his grave. And he's got this big granite grave, and there's a bust of his head on top of it. And,
we are getting into some tombstone stuff here. Well, good, all right.
Yes.
No, but that is, I would love to see that. I
have this.
Oh, okay. Show and tell. What is that? A pine cone?
That is a pine cone that was sitting on top of his grave when I went.
Oh, wow.
I collect little objects from different places.
That's really neat.
I have a little piece of masonry I got from the well, supposedly, where the ship was thrown in Aurora.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the spaceship. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a little bottle of well water that they gave out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all I've got is we got permission to go look at it, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw this little like piece of masonry just sitting on the ground. I was like, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, I collect these things. Here's a little twig. This twig is from on top of William S. Burroughs' grave.
Oh man, how cool. Okay, so I like that you're not taking anything that someone would have left, but you're like, so do you keep them in a little display case or anything?
No, some of them I actually I've got a set of divination cards and just in here.
Oh.
And I leave the Wilhelm Reich pinecone and the William S. Burroughs twig on top of them.
Oh, that is really cool. Yeah, I have weird little collections too. I have some bark from the friendship oak down in Mississippi that's over 500 years old, and then a friend of mine knows I love madrona trees, and so they brought me some madrona bark. I have weird tree bark things. Like house sitters sometimes have thrown things away not knowing, oh, I dusted your mantle. And I'm like, no, you threw away my tree, thing. So I have to, when we get a house sitter or something, I have to like hide all my quirky weird bit things because sometimes they think it's trash, but it's not. Well, that is so cool. I went there. It was a very moving experience for me because of everything I've just described to you. Yeah. So that poor guy. And everybody go watch the Kate Bush video. It's really good. It's got Donald Sutherland in it. Kate Bush is playing his son as Peter. William Reich. Yeah. Yeah.
Peter Reich wrote a book. I can't remember the name of the book, but he wrote a book about growing up with his father. And that's what Kate
like a good book.
Based the song on. Yeah, I've got it somewhere. Yeah, I've got his book.
One thing I like about Kate Bush is like she doesn't just sing, Saturday night, it's all right, you left me, now I feel like crying, I mean, she sings about like Gurdjieff. I heard about Gurdjieff through her, and I'm like, who's that? And went through her music, and I heard about Wilhelm Reich through her music. So the things she sings about are stuff that makes you think. You're like, what is she singing? What is that? Wuthering Heights. Okay, I guess I'm going to read that book now. It's like,
I've got Wilhelm Reich's UFO book. It's called Contact with Space.
Oh, sounds good.
It is exceedingly rare book. It's one of my favorite books. I bought it from the Wilhelm Reich Infant Trust in the 90s. When I was a
Trust, huh?
That's what the name of their charity was, or whatever their foundation. And if you wanted to be a member of the Wilhelm Reich Museum, you were a member of the Wilhelm Reich Infant Trust, apparently. And one time they sent out a newsletter and said, "Hey, we found some copies of Contact with Space in the basement." I was like, "What? I thought those were all burned."
Yeah.
They were selling it for like $150 a piece, and it was a real take my money moment. And couple months, and this was at like 95 or something, a couple months later or a few weeks later, whatever, I got a copy of Contact with Space from 1956 or 58, I think. It's a story about him going out to the first. He thought he was doing battle with UFOs because every time he said he pointed his cloudbuster at them, they would wink out.
Oh.
So he thought they were here to like dry up the planet and turn it into a desert, and he thought he was fighting them. So he went out to the desert in Arizona and he made it rain there, and or said he did. I mean, there's news reports from there too, and weather records showing that it rained there when he was there. Completely anomalous to any other time before he was there or after. It was suddenly had rain there while he was there.
Wow.
So either it was a coincidence or he made it rain there. I don't know which.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's a fascinating guy. Definitely a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
And persecuted. I don't know. For some reason, it makes me think of Leon Theremin a little bit, who's like a scientist who ends up getting persecuted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, then kidnapped and taken to Russia and made to work on things.
Yeah. And then, that whole, he, I don't know, like in the 60s or something, or 50s, or I forget, but the
spy device in the embassy.
Yeah, it was in the White House. They gave a big, great seal eagle thing, and they gave it to here's a gift from Russia to America, and they put, I think, whoever was president had it in the Oval Office, and Leon Theremin had designed the microphone. Now I don't know. I haven't read that or looked into that for a while. I'm probably all wrong.
Yeah, he designed something that did not have to show any It had emitted no radio waves or electromagnetic field or anything. I think it just passively somehow used the sound to broadcast somehow to Russian spies somewhere in nearby or in DC.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on in that room for years.
Yeah, it took him a long time to find out. I think I saw this on a documentary about spying, but I'd already read it about Leon Theremin. But I just feel so sorry for him. Here he is, super creative, super genius, and what he's forced to do with it is he didn't want to do,
Yeah.
So let's look at something artsy now. Speaking of art, good story for us here.
Yeah, at the UFO Congress, I don't think it's the one we were at. No, we were the one in no, it still was at that resort, right? The whatever that.
No, it was downtown
Was in
Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay,
well,
so
I haven't been to the one. Yeah.
The last year at the resort, the year before we met, there was one of the last ones, or the last one at the Indian Casino out there outside of Phoenix, and Jacque Vallée appeared there. And
that would have been cool. Wow.
Yeah. So I somehow flagged him down, and he had a copy of one of my books with him, which was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
We went. Well, I told him we were going to meet up. I think he brought it, so I'd sign it for him. And of course, I brought him like 3 books to sign.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I emailed him, and lo and behold, he said, "Yeah, I'll be there. Okay, if I have time."
Wow.
So, Red Pill, Miguel Romero, and I sat down with him and talked to him for about 10 or 15 minutes, and we never took a picture with him. So Miguel did this. did this drawing of us actually hanging out with him, and he looks kind of annoyed, which I think is really funny.
That is funny. He does. I know. It's kind of like, what is the story here?
And it's Miguel as Red Pill Junkie taking a selfie of us all together, which we didn't do because I was too embarrassed to do such a thing.
And sometimes I don't think of it in the moment. A lot of times when I'm having fun with friends is when I forget to take photos. I'm just having such a good time, and then I'm like,
yeah.
And then, it's when I'm alone and I'm just sitting by a rock that, oh my God, I got 48 photos of that rock. Why did I? Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
So that's the story behind that one. And we had a nice, just sat there outside under an umbrella and talked for about 10 or 15 minutes, which is precious to me because he's kind of my hero, or one of my main.
Yeah. I know you've met a lot of really amazing people. You've interviewed so many people. I mean, I think that's really great. You've really managed to do that. Here, I'm going to pick another picture. I'm having fun with these because you just sent me so much, a whole bunch of them shortly before the show, and I had no clue. Well, here you are with Giorgio.
I was
UFO Congress too? Or?
No, that was at Contact in the Desert. I saw him. There was David Childress was having a dinner. He was my first publisher, but he's also basically a co-star on Ancient Aliens. Yeah. So, he said, we're going to have dinner, and his wife said, why don't you join us? So I sat down and had dinner with Giorgio and Dave Childress and his wife Jennifer.
Oh, nice.
Eric von Daniken, of all people.
Oh, really? Chariots of the Gods guy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was totally starstruck. I was like, but I read that book when I was like 8 years old. Oh, my God.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, I remember seeing that movie.
But after the dinner, I said, okay, I'm not taking a picture with anyone, but Giorgio, I want to take a picture with you. And I guess we'd met like 10 years before, and he remembered me, which was like completely mind-blowing to me.
That is nice.
He's like, Greg, how are you? I was like, how do you know me? He said, we met at this book convention, and we hung out. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It was way before any of the Ancient Alien stuff.
Wow. Well, that's neat.
So I said, okay, you're a meme. I have to take a picture with you.
Yeah, this is him. Someone's asking. I thought that was a guy from Ancient Aliens. Is it the guy who has the wild hair? Yep.
Yes, it is. It's Giorgio Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens. And no matter what you think of the show, I mean, I hung out with him. He was very nice to me. We cracked jokes about people we knew, and it was just nice. It was like a pleasant evening. And that picture we took was, you notice we're behind a pillar there?
Yeah.
I said, can I take a picture? He goes, yeah, but not where anybody can see. But because apparently if you take a picture with him, everybody comes over thinking it's picture time.
Oh, wow.
So we were hiding behind this little pillar there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Well, that was awful
So
sweet.
the one person I actually have taken a picture with was Giorgio, because for Christ's sake, he's a meme.
Yeah. He is. Come on now. I know, really he is. That's true. It was like, hey, I don't think I know who that is.
So that was a fun evening. I haven't talked to him since, but it was just one of those things you just remember forever. It's like,
Yeah.
And all Eric von Däniken did was tell off-color jokes, which was really funny.
That is funny. Well, you don't know where he's coming from.
You don't. I mean, he was, we all had a little bit of wine. We're all just cracking each other up. And he started telling jokes, and he didn't quite know the English, so he had his assistant with him, translating from Swiss German or whatever his German language from Switzerland. Yeah.
Is it possible? Yes, it is.
So that's the story of the Giorgio picture.
Giorgio. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. You got some your Kachina?
Yeah, I have a Kachina collection, about.
Those are cool.
35 or 40 of them.
Probably.
Altogether. They're all, I've collected them since 1980s or so.
What got you into that? I mean, are you been interested in the Hopi, or did you just happen to see someone you were at a museum and get kind of hooked? Because I think they're really cool looking. I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. When I was a kid, I had one.
I saw them on a road trip. The first one I bought was in a store in Flagstaff when I was like 19 or 20 years old or something. And ever since then, I just kept collecting more and more and more and more. And then every time I go to Arizona or New Mexico, I will go to either a museum, because they give all the money to the artisan, or as much as they can, or the tribal, like their store at the reservation, because then the artisan gets basically almost all the money, if not all of it. And so it keeps me from buying so many of them, because I have to actually make an extra effort to go where they're I guess ethically sourced, if you want to call it that.
Speaking of stores in Arizona, have you ever been to the Arizona Prison Outlet Mall?
No. Oh my God.
I have an article about it on my website. I think they recently closed it down because of COVID. Maybe it'll reopen. It's it's really intriguing. I got a purse made out of a license plate, but they were like, and it'll say like inmate number 37890 made this. And so you can see all these different things. They make things out of, some of them are very almost like third world crafts made out of gumball wrapper, chewing gum wrappers. Some are paintings, just kind of naive style. They vary. Some are really good. Some of the artwork.
Oh my God, I wish I knew about that.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting. And then there's a really good Greek restaurant right nearby. And there's a Greek monastery nearby. It's like a surreal, weird little.
Where is it in Arizona?
I used to know. It's on my website. I could look it up. I'll post it and then tag you when I post it. It's really worth seeing. The Arizona Prison Outlet Mall, very unique, obviously. Yeah, Kachina dolls. Now, didn't you have something weird happen, like almost paranormal going on with your Kachina dolls at one point?
How did you know about that? Did I tell you?
I don't know. Maybe I heard it on the show or something. Somehow I know that, or it came up at one point, I think.
Yeah. I like that. That Kachina.
I think it did.
Yeah, that I will tell you in a second. That Kachina is a completely atypical one that I bought in southern Arizona at a museum near Willcox, Arizona, where my former in-laws have a giant cattle ranch.
Oh,
and so my former aunt-in-law, I guess, took us to this museum, and they had these Kachinas that were just basically broken pieces of cottonwood that had been painted up. And then
I thought that was a stuffed. Yeah, it's wood. Now I see.
Yeah,
I thought it was something
at the bottom. You can see where it's broken off.
Yeah, now I see.
It is a cottonwood root that has been, broken off, not cut or anything. It's just been broken into a piece and then dried, and then the artisan painted this Kachina on it, which I think is an ogre Kachina, which is basically things to scare people or specifically children. And you can tell because it's tongue sticking
Go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. The red thing sticking out below its face is a tongue sticking out.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure
they're so stylized.
Yeah.
There's something blocky about them.
Ogre. I think it's some type of an ogre Kachina. I had all those Kachinas a few less of them because this was in the 90s.
Okay.
I had them sitting. Yeah, those. I had them actually. Those two to the right, I didn't have. Those are very recent. They're more traditional ones that you can see them leaning because they don't actually stand up.
Oh, okay.
The traditional dolls are supposed to hang on the wall, actually.
I didn't know that.
And see how that most of them now, the tourist kind, have little bases on them, so they stand.
Yeah.
But the more traditional ones had these tiny little feet, which are not meant to. You can't actually. Hi, kitty. You can't actually stand it up on anything, or if you can, it's very precarious. But anyway, those three on the left, those large ones, the one in the middle and the one in the back and the one on the left there, those were sitting on the shelf in my office, the last place I lived, right up the street. And late at night, I would hear this noise coming from the bookcase where they were. I had them all on one shelf together, one big bookcase shelf. I heard this noise like somebody was taking a little tiny sliver of wood and doing this with their fingernail on it. Just you could hear this little sliver of wood kind of going click, 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 click,
clicking,
click,
huh?
Click.
Oh.
Rhythmically, it wasn't like click, click, click. It would like click a few times and it would stop, and then we'd do it once, and it's like as if something living was just making this noise.
Huh.
And I'd look at if I went over near the bookcase, it would stop. Or sometimes if I even looked at it, it would stop.
Oh, that's weird.
Then I took all the Kachinas out and put them somewhere else, and the noise stopped. And I took them and put them back a couple days later, and the noise started again. Oh,
that's so weird.
And I kind of tried to see where it was coming from. It was localized to where the Kachinas were. Yeah, well, maybe it was an insect or a mouse. Yeah. Or something. I don't know, but it seemed to be, like I said, when I took the Kachinas away, it stopped the entire time, the 2 or 3 or 4 days or a week or whatever that I didn't have them in there, no noise. And as soon as I put them back, it started up again, like that day.
That is weird.
So, it wasn't something
definitely
weird, but it wasn't scary. It didn't freak me out. I just kind of thought it was interesting. If I saw a ghost walking down the hallway, I would be startled, but I wouldn't be scared.
Yeah.
Because I figure it's just a natural thing. It's not there to, how many ghosts have you heard of that try to kill people or hurt them or whatever? I guess there's some, but generally, by and large, if you see something that you think is a ghost, it's not going to hurt you. So I would be kind of startled and stunned, but I wouldn't be like, Scooby-Doo, oh, go, ghost!
I know. I always think that something like that will scare me, but when I have had weird things happen, as an adult, when I was a kid, things would scare me. But then I got frustrated, and my curiosity got to a point like,
overcame the flight.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just curious. I'm kind of mad. Like, why don't you make this noise when my parents are home? Because you're making me look bad. I'm the youngest, and then everyone just
they think I'm lying.
Yes, they just think, oh, you've got an active imagination. It's like, yeah, but this isn't that. Yeah, so I felt so vindicated when I finally had a friend over and something happened, like when I was like 15. But I know what you mean, and I always think it's going to be scary, but something about my curiosity just takes over. But then I've been with people who and I think they're so old, they've been into this so long. I've been to different locations. The slightest thing happens, they're like running out the door. I'm like, isn't that what we're here for? I mean, don't you want to? If it's not choking you or something, I mean, oh well. Anyway.
Yeah, what's the problem? I mean, I think they just want to be scared.
Yeah, maybe, and I don't. I am the type who I will do if when I'm really deep into writing or something, or concentrating on something, you can come up and just say my name, and I'm like, I might jump 4 feet, but that's not that's just because I just get really into whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I wanted to hear the Kachina story. Okay, I was curious about that. Oh,
that's the Kachina story. Yeah.
The Kachina. The Kachina thing made me think of the Hopi Indians, which made me think of Koyana Scotzi and made me think of Philip Glass. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fascinating. My friend and I used to call it Koyana stock footage.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Oh, well, there was an opera house.
I know it's not stock footage, but
no, yeah. but still, that's a great name for it. Yeah, I used to go to that movie by myself, like when it was playing in this college theater, and just sit there and space out. I don't know, it was like trancy to watch that. Yeah, it really does it. But it was sort of fun. A few years ago in Dallas, they had the opera house opened. and they did, for their opening night, they had Dracula, the original Dracula from the black and white Dracula from the 30s or something, very
Yeah.
old. And one thing I didn't realize, it was so funny. And so they, Philip Glass scored it. It didn't have music, so he was there playing live performance of the black and white thing. And I never knew he had such a sense of humor before, but like there were points at the he did things with the music to point things out that were funny. Like Dracula's castle had armadillos running around in it in the original one, which I thought, wow, how many armadillos? I don't know where he is, but he's associated. Like there's a little Philip Glass song. I should find out why he did this for Dallas, because he did a lot for that opera. But yeah, it was so fun to. It was typical Philip Glass music, but it really went with the black and white thing. But also, I never just thought of him as having such a sense of humor before, because his music would stop and it would make you really look at things. And I don't know, like I'm going off on it, but it was fun. Oh, there's also little mouse coffins too. There's little Dracula mice too. If you ever watch it, it's worth there's armadillos and cute little. They're like, oh, cute little vampiric mice.
I want to see an animated or even a stop motion vampiric mice movie.
Oh, stop motion. That would be great. The vampiric mice. Okay, we got the cookbook. We got the vampiric mice. Let's see what else. I'm going to pick something.
It's hot in here. Let me open the window again.
Sure, you open the window.
If there's any noise, I will close it again. But it's warm in here. It was really warm today. It was like in the 80s.
What's that all about? Okay, here's a beautiful photo. You tell us the story. You got a double rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I see it, I think of that guy. What does it mean? Oh, my God.
I know. I was so glad, because I tend to get really excited about things. I'm like, okay, there's someone who's like, wait, I don't.
Yeah, he's further along the spectrum than I am by far.
Yes. So don't be telling me I'm overly excited. I'm not double rainbow excited about this. But yeah, where was this?
That was at the UFO Congress at the Indian Casino.
Oh, everyone told me how nice it was there. It's like, dang, I kind of wish I'd gotten to go to that one. That is gorgeous
there was
shot.
This, like, hill, and I guess there was a golf course or something at the top of the hill. Mm-hmm. But I noticed it was raining like mad. I was like, and then the sun came out. I was like, there's got to be a rainbow somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And I saw a little bit of it from the edge of the hill, and I said, that's it. I drove up to the top of this hill, and that's what I saw. And I jumped out of the car and ran over where there were saguaro cactuses around, cacti, so that I could get a good shot of it. And it came out, and I did a panorama shot, and it came out really nice. And you can't see it on there, but if you blow it up really big, which it probably doesn't have the resolution, you can see raindrops in the picture.
Oh my gosh.
There's little streaks of raindrops and that the camera picked up. My iPhone picked it up. I guess it's an ad for iPhone. But yeah, it was a pano shot.
Yeah, it looks like almost looks like a third rainbow a little bit back there. There's another arc in this.
Yeah, maybe. But it was you can see the shadows there.
We're getting an all cap reaction here. Is Greg on Facebook? Can we share this picture somehow?
Yeah, I'll share it. Sure. I'll share it on the Radio Misterioso page or yours or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a stunning, like I was there at the right time at the right place. And I just thought, my God, there's got to be a great rainbow with all this rain and the sunshine. And there was. I mean, it's like, I got to get somewhere and get a clear shot of this. And I did. There's
awesome
buildings
photo.
and stuff in the background, way in the background. But
desert is so pretty. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And everything was, there's all this green peeking out from underneath because it had been raining for a while. So all the greenery comes out and goes, oh boy, water.
If I can bloom a little bit, maybe something will happen. Yes.
So it had been raining for a few hours, or at least a couple of hours. Or maybe it had rained the day before or whatever. But anyway, there was all this like carpet of little bits of green, like, this very light green carpet of stuff everywhere. Yeah. And the saguaro sticking out, because usually you're out there and it's just blue sky, brown mountains, brown or gray ground, and a little bits of like creosote and yucca and the saguaros. So this is a very lush picture right in the middle.
It rains, and it's like someone has just turned up the saturation. You know, before that, it's sort of like you got sepia tones and just these sort of, you know, beigey, many beiges, and, you know, it's a different, and plus the sun is so bright that it like kind of makes colors fade. And so then I think when it does rain in that desert, and then it does dim it down and the colors pop out, it's really just quite a exciting experience.
It makes everything just pop. And so I took that picture, but I think I might have cranked the chroma on it a bit from what my camera picked up, but that's all I did. I probably cranked it just slightly so it just popped a little bit. But that's what it looked like. I mean, that's what it looked like to me.
Magical moment. Yeah, so someone's asking, so I'm on Facebook, Greg's on Facebook. You know, if you're here, you can friend me on Facebook. I'm just Tui Snider. It's not a lot of us out there. And then Greg Bishop. There might be more than one Greg Bishop in the world, but, you know, you can find him.
Yeah, there might be.
Maybe. I don't know. All right. Let's see what we have here. See, some other people are saying stuff. Magical picture.
Yeah.
And, Flynn's here. Hey, Flynn Ryder, me and Red Pill Junkie were discussing Paul Benowitz today. I need to get that book, Project Beta. I don't have that one.
I guess you better get it.
I guess I'd better get it.
I'll send you one, whatever.
Well, next time I'll, as soon as I'm done with It Defies Language. Okay, so where's a good... I'm looking for more Red Pill.
Oh, the cover of It Defies Language he did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's his, totally came up. That was his first book cover ever.
Really? It's so eye-catching. I like it.
I remember, because he did, there's a little caricature up there of, like from we'll look at that for a second, but I saw that character. Well, maybe you can scroll up.
Sure. Tell me where. Yeah, everything's just tossed in here. There was a caricature.
Right there. He sent that to me once, and he said, "That's a picture of you." And I said, "Oh, wow." I said, "Would you be interested in doing a book cover?" And so that's it flowed from that. And
really?
He came up with that, you know, that he read the book. He knows me pretty well. We're good friends. And he said, you know, that was his, you know, that It Defies Language cover was his.
I meant to put, I didn't get the copyright right on that. Sorry.
Oh.
I was cutting and pasting at this point because I was like, better get stuff ready. Anyway,
okay.
Red Pill Junkie did that, everybody, just so you know.
So he just sent me that out of the blue. It's like, hey, I've been doing some caricatures and sketches, and he had one of Nick Redfern and one of Mac Tony's and me and a couple other people.
Wow.
And I said,
think it's great.
Yeah, I said, could you do a book cover? And he said, yeah, I could try that. And it turns out he's really good at it.
Yeah, my gosh. He's
done like 3 or 4 or 5, probably more than that, book covers since then. He did the one for Reframing the Debate, and he did the one for UFO. Yeah, Reframing the Debate. He did the Adamski book, A's for Adamski, that I wrote with Riley.
I like his style a lot.
So he did Susan Demeter St. Clair's Cosmic Witch book.
Oh, he did? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So he's, if you have a paranormal book, you should get him to do the cover, because somehow he's got this talent.
The knack. Yeah.
Yet he can take an entire book and distill it down into one image.
It's a challenge to get a good cover.
Yeah, and that, you know, that the figure inside the light is the Pascagoula alien, because it's one of my favorite cases.
Oh, yeah.
And the background is out in Jacque Vallée, or out in Joshua Tree National Monument, which is out in the desert, which is one of my favorite places. And then, you know, he's got anytime he draws a UFO, apparently he's got to have a beam coming out of it. Oh. Which is fine. And then he used this great font that he found that was called Young Frankenstein font. It's really
how funny.
Yeah.
Well, I like the story behind how you came up with the title for the book. It Defies Language.
It Defies Language. Yeah. Actually, Miguel Red Pill was saying, I got to have a title. He had this space where the title was supposed to go, but I didn't have a title. So he's like, can you give me a title here? And I kept putting it off and putting it off, and I couldn't think of anything. So I wrote an intro to the book. And I took the intro and I put it in an online cut-up generator, which basically takes everything you wrote and just puts it in random order.
Wow.
So it's just gibberish at that point, but it was all my words. So, William Burroughs invented that. He's kind of a hero of mine. And his quote about it is, when you cut into the present, the future leaks out. So I thought, okay, well, let me cut into the present and see what this future title might be. So
I like that. Yeah.
Online cut-up generator. And I just started reading it. I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay. For some reason, I just started reading it and put myself in this weird state of mind where I stopped focusing on what I was reading and just read the words.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever a phrase popped up, I would write it down.
Oh, yeah.
And that phrase wasn't specifically, I think, in the cut-up generator, but it was inspired by what the cut-up generator did.
I like that. I like that it was, it wasn't directly, it was you and the cut-up generator. You know, you interacted with it too, if it makes sense.
And it was I used my words as you know, as a sketchbook to create that title, I guess. And that I had like 4 or 5 of them, and I asked a few people, you know, which one do you like the best? And that by far was the most. And I thought it was really funny because it was a book about this stuff called It Defies Language. It's like, if it defies language, what are you doing writing about it?
I know, that's why I think it's so funny. Yeah, that's why I think it's so funny. Like, I like that too, because of course the book is like, you know, that's what it's made out of.
Yeah,
is language.
It's made out of language, but you know, language gets in the way of understanding, especially with weird stuff like this.
Yes.
How many people have you talked to that have had a weird experience and they can't put it into words because the words don't exist for it? And as soon as they put it into words, that becomes what the experience was, not what actually happened. It becomes how the words describe it, you know?
And isn't it interesting how we need, like, you know, I'm doing a lot of gardening right now, and I find gardening provides so many helpful metaphors for things. But I think now with technology, there's so many, you know, you say there aren't words for things. We have so many words since the internet that help us describe these things, like, oh, I got a download, you know. Before, how would you have described that? I mean, I felt
I got a message.
Yeah. I mean, it's just different. I think technology does provide us with a lot of interesting metaphors.
Maybe sometimes sometimes the experience creates the metaphor, or the metaphor creates it. Whatever. It's an interaction.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, we're talking about art. I was just thinking, the other day, I was looking through my notebook while I was thinking of like what we could talk about. I was like, oh, should we, you know, some April Fool's-y things. And I came across a quote I really liked by Laurie Anderson. Do you like her? Are you a Laurie Anderson fan?
Yeah.
I love
I've got
her.
an album signed by her, actually.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm jealous. I love her. I think the best concert I've ever been to in my life would probably be a Laurie Anderson concert I went to. Because there's this one woman standing on stage for over 2 hours, and I was riveted and transported and like, whoa. So yes, I love her. I can't find
it, but I saw her at the Roxy with like 100 or 200 people.
Oh man.
And
go ahead.
I was assigned to be a photographer for concerts at that point. It was like, for a while I did concert photography. And so I was within like 3 feet of her, just taking pictures of her. And I've got one picture of her with her violin, and she's looking straight at me down the violin with her bow up like this.
Oh my God. What a cool photo. So then you probably know that she was the one and only artist in residence for NASA, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in 2002, she was the poet in residence for NASA.
Yeah.
And as soon as word got out, some congressman or something found out, and he was like, "Well, that's stupid. Let's take that out." Like they gave her a little. It wasn't too much. They gave her $20,000 stipend either. And she created this. I mean, people go on YouTube and look. She created this virtual reality trip to the moon that's so surreal and cool. And but I love this quote that I found from her. I had written it in one of my journals, and I was just flipping through it. Here it is. I just thought, I don't know. Now I don't remember if it's going to relate, but I like how she said, how can I, when she was talking about art, she goes, how can I escape this trap of just experiencing what I expect? And that kind of went, it's because we were talking about the cut up stuff. That's what made me think of this. Yeah. And I just like that that's what she's out for. She's just not like, and I thought that when you made your book, the title, It Defies Language, by using the cut up thing, but not just taking what the cut up gave you by then bouncing back off of it again, that I felt that like, you really escaped that trap of, okay, experiencing what I expect, but then it really fit.
Yeah, you know what? It's really hard to I may use that quote because I'm still working on a book about this kind of stuff. And
good, because I want to ask about what you're working on.
It is, that quote is perfect because if people are seeing weird stuff, especially UFO stuff, how much of it is what they expect? How much of it is what they have been, have discussed with people later? How far removed are they from that original experience by recounting it, by language? And one thing which is really insane, and people don't, which really kind of makes a lot of sense and is important to me. If you take a picture of something, like a UFO or whatever it is, your entire recollection of that event is going to be to support that picture.
Yeah.
The picture is what your camera saw, not what you saw, and not what you experienced. And so I don't like it when people have pictures, because it just sucks all the experiential novelty out of their recollection, because it's all, here's the picture of the thing that I saw. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one facet. I'm always encouraging people to write things down right away. Like, you go on a ghost hunt, write things down afterwards, right? They don't have to be elaborate. It's like coming out of a dream. If you write 5 words from your dream, later when you're a little more awake, you can somehow remember the whole dream. And I just think people aren't taking notes the way they should. I'm always harping on that. But another thing I was going to say, like, you were mentioning about, because I think, if I saw a UFO, how much of what I see is colored by all the movies and all the media I've been exposed to. And so I think, to me, that's why I've been so fascinated with the 1897 airship sightings in Texas, and trying to find accounts that seem like they just came from people. I love the accounts where they just describe it as, Pa was in the back field and he heard a swarm of bees, but it was too big for bees. Things like, because they weren't all colored by all the movies and all the media. I'm just too polluted now. If I saw something, I wouldn't. I have so many cultural reference points. To me, it's kind of exciting to try to find a time when people didn't have that.
How similar were the airship accounts? Because to me, they all kind of fall into this, like, steampunk kind of thing. And and they weren't like that. There was a variety of descriptions of things that were going on, but because we want to put things in categories, I don't think we get the full spectrum of what people reported.
Yeah, definitely. But so now this quote, you said it might relate to what you're working on now, and I want to make sure before you go. Oh my God, it's been an hour. It just goes too fast. You're too fun to talk to. I want to know, if you feel like talking about what your current project is, or at least what you.
I'll talk a little bit about it. It has to do with perception and the UFO thing. What does perception play, and how do we ignore the perception? We keep thinking we're, people are like video or audio recorders. They're not.
Yeah.
People do not remember things like that. People remember things through retelling and through consolidation of things that make sense to them and all that. So if we're doing that based on an unknown, an X that we don't know about, how much are we adding? What did we add to the original, report and the original encounter, or the original impression the person got? And it's a traumatic experience too, so your brain's kind of going, ah! What's going to happen? And so it's trying to make sense of what's going on. So using the work of this cognitive psychologist that I like, Donald Hoffman, he said, the world is not what we expect. It was not what it is. It's what we expect, and that our consciousness and our neurology hides the reality of what's going on. It doesn't show us the reality. It hides it because we've developed evolutionarily to survive and reproduce and eat and all those things. And if it's your brain's always trying to figure out how those things will help you survive.
And there's good. So we all need to survive. We get that, But then, how do we get past that?
I don't know how we get past it. In fact, I'm trying to figure out, how do you hack that so that the pure experience is there. I don't know if it's possible.
I think for me, I think that's why I'm really attracted to absurd humor. Somehow, absurdity to me. Sometimes I say I love the profound and the absurd, and I'm often profoundly absurd because I think that's when I feel more. I feel myself falling asleep to the world and just seeing what I expect. And I try to find weird ways to, just jolt myself out of it, and like, when I do, it does make the world more special. I don't know.
I think the paranormal, especially UFO stuff, is like a joke. Not a joke like it's a joke, but
a cosmic joke.
In that if you explain the joke, it's not funny anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you said that about absurdity, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. It's like in that realization of the absurdity is the truth of whatever that is. But it's ineffable. You can't really describe it, but you can probably, hopefully. You know what I notice is that when people have a weird experience, especially a UFO experience, if they talk to each other, even if their experiences are completely different, they both know exactly what they're talking about that nobody else does because they've had that experience. But there's no way to put that into words, really. They just know. Kind of like, if you have a trauma in your past or something, you meet somebody else that has had a trauma in their past, you both know what you went through, even though it's different. And so that's kind of how I feel about the UFO thing. It's like it's this ineffable, weird thing that people have gone through, but they can't communicate it to anybody that hasn't gone through it. That's how weird it is. And it's like, if you have to explain it to somebody, it completely loses you lose the thread and the magic and the weirdness out of it because you've had to explain it. You know what I mean? So, so like, if I listen to a story and I start trying to take it apart, it becomes a piece of crap at that point because it doesn't have that magic that it had when the person first saw it, experienced it, or whatever.
Yeah, they dissected it, and I think that's why it can be so fun to hang out with children. They see the world through they're unjaded. But one thing I was thinking about too is like how, and people often wonder why I'm so into cemetery symbols, and it's not out of any sense of morbidity. It's because I think that 150 years ago, we were all more acquainted with symbolism, and we could just put up a picture of a pigeon or something, and it would actually convey a lot more than now. We're just like, there's a pigeon. Because nowadays, modern tombstones, grandpa dies, you put a tractor on it. 150 years ago, because he liked tractors. Grandpa drove tractors. But like 150 years ago, they would put symbols on there, and everyone often says, oh, that's because they were illiterate. And that's really not the case. I mean, sure, that helps, but there's much more to symbolism than, oh, I can't read. One symbol can pack, it's like the old picture's worth 1,000 words thing. But the only thing I think people can relate to these days is maybe their flag, because people get upset. Like if I had a flag in my hand right now and I ripped it in two and then stomped on it, people would viscerally, probably their blood pressure would change. I mean, we would feel it. But I think that nowadays we are illiterate to symbolism, and I think we miss out. And I think that in the past we looked to art and science and whatever just smarts was out there for answers. I think now we just look to science for answers, and we don't look to art for answers.
Exactly.
But I think there are a lot of answers in art that we're not. I'm
trying to pull
art. If they make it any sense, I'm just going to
I'm trying to pull an appreciation and understanding and using art as a tool, talking to people that have these experiences. I did a whole lecture on art and UFOs, and one of the things I suggested, I know people who are UFO investigators doing this now, was to, when you go out to talk to a witness, bring out a bunch of crayons, colored pencils, paper, charcoal, and then just they'll say, I want to tell you about what happened to me. And you go, no, do this, and I'll come back in a week or whatever. And if you still want to talk about it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But
I like that.
Here's, don't describe it to me. Don't do whatever you need to do with this. No instructions whatsoever. Use this in a way that you think helps you remember, deal with, or whatever, and don't care about who's going to see it or anything like that. Just do something with it. Even if you just want to write it out. But I would encourage you, even if you don't have any artistic talent that you think, to use these materials as kind of self-therapy. And I think by not putting any kind of ideas on these things and not force, like, where did they come from? How big were they? How big was the ship? Well, how many minutes was
I don't
it
see.
there?
They said ship. I mean, I don't know. It's like, what do you even ask? Yeah, you had
you're making all these assumptions and throwing language in there that's not necessarily, and probably not even anything to do with what they saw or what they experience, and the less you can get in the way before they can, before a witness can consciously and subconsciously recall something without as much influence as possible, maybe that's a little kind of a way to get to the, to be able to see the joke for what it is and not have to explain it. Meaning you could look at that picture and an understanding of what happened to them or whatever they produce would be a lot more fruitful than just them describing it to you or putting it in a database somewhere.
Yeah, because instead of describing it to me, then I'm making my own picture of it, as they say it. So if they can show the picture and just kind of sit with the experience on their own. I like that, kind of process it. If there were a way to just...
Yeah, and try not to talk to anybody about it. If you already have, stop and just deal with it on your own here for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm excited about your book and all your thoughts about art and all that. And
thank you.
I'm curious, what's your writing process like? Do you have a certain time of day or anything? Like, I just always like to ask people to write.
I start writing a lot when a deadline is due me.
Oh yeah, deadlines can be very. Yeah, that's true. You didn't even name it until you're like, hey, I have a cover. Better have a name for my book.
Yeah, it's just what I do, and I don't think this is unique at all. Is I have to write a table of contents and an outline, so I have a skeleton to build the flesh upon that. Chapter or whatever, and I don't write it in sequence. It's like, oh, I know a bunch about this, so I'll just fill in that part of the skeleton with some flesh and organs, and then I've got some for this, and I'll fill in that one partially or all of it, and then just fill in all the spaces. And then when they're all filled in, I can see how they relate to each other and start changing things and writing.
I always write the introduction last and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I usually write it first because it helps me organize.
Map it out.
Yeah. And first I'll write an introduction, and then I'll get a table of contents. I'll just say this chapter is it. And it's not cut and dried.
Yeah.
I mean, it changes often while I'm working on it. But, here's chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. What are you going to talk about in these chapters?
Yeah, you need a little roadmap helps, but you can always take. It's just like a real road trip. I love to plan real road trips, but then if I see something along the way that looks cool, I'm pulling over and I'm taking I'm not going to stay like, well, my road trip says blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. That's no way to do anything. When we were in Europe, my wife and I did this too on my own. Anywhere actually. If you're in a place where there's a bunch of tourists, you just keep walking till nobody's speaking anything but the local language. Then you sit down and eat.
Yes, definitely.
And then on the way
even
there,
here in Texas, if I go into a Mexican restaurant and they're not like, speaking Spanish, I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah, we did that in Venice, I think, and we found a great restaurant. Nice. And the other thing we found was a store. All they sold was joke and tiny and dumb instruments. Like it had kazoos and railroad whistles and Jews harps or mouth harp, whatever you want to call it.
They make a living off that, huh?
Yeah, and whoever ocarinas and whoever. It's like I thought harmonicas. I thought, wow, and those little castanet things.
Oh, I love castanets. Yeah, those are fun.
I just thought, wow, if you could just take everything in the store and give it to a bunch of people that either musicians or weren't, and have them come up with music, what it would sound like with all these weird
gamelan style thing. That would be fun.
But that was just because of wandering. Okay. We just kind of went by the store. Like, what is that? And they were closed, unfortunately. But I took a picture through the window of all their, like this one window display of hundreds of weird little instruments.
Sounds fun. I actually really like kazoos, although I like metal kazoos better. Now here someone has a Laurie Anderson story. What is this? I'm facing. Oh wait, just a second. I think I missed it. The top. Where did it start? I just saw the word Laurie Anderson again. Someone's talking about Laurie Anderson. Oh, here we go. True story. While online to see Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the Ziegfeld Theater. Oh, my friend.
I'm trying to find it.
Whispers to me, look, there's Laurie Anderson. So they saw Laurie Anderson going to see Who Frames Roger Rabbit. And I'm facing the opposite direction and turn to look at my friend is all like, not now, to turn around now. Oh, I know. I'm all stealth. My sister taught me how to be all stealth. And like, I always, wanted to be a spy or something. And, but my husband, I have to be careful. Like if I were like, hey, there's Laurie Anderson, he'd be like, where? What? Like, let's go meet her. I'm like, no, come on. So yeah. Anyway, so,
Yeah, I never met her. I worked with her sister once, Lynn Anderson.
Oh.
She wrote a play, and I did the sound for it. And on stage because I was filling in for a friend of mine.
Oh, and that sounds cool.
Right during her play, there was it was like a girl discovering how to her own power to be her own person. It was a very it was a good play to women, girls. Yeah. And at one point there's a demon that comes into her bedroom with her and tells her all kinds of cool stuff she can do, but it's not a mean demon. It's kind of like, you can do these things. Yeah. And at one point there's music on a radio. She turns on a radio. And of course I'm looking at the script and there's a sound cue there for the radio. And this was long enough ago where the sound cue was on a cassette.
Oh, wow.
So, we did 10, 12 shows and worked fine every time. I would cue up the cassette and then just hit play and then fade it up really fast so that they were dancing to this music on the radio. So we had one, a matinee on a Sunday, and all these Hollywood stars were there and people that, just kind of important people and producers and all that were just there because I think it was for kids too. So some of their kids were in some of these productions. Yeah. Anyway, I hit the button on the thing where the most important people there, the most important show, the finale, everything. I hit the button and out over the speakers in the theater you hear, and then it stops.
Oh no.
And I had the window open. There's a booth with a window, so you can close it if you want. But I wanted to hear the audience, and I wanted to hear what was going on stage. I wanted to be able to hear everything. And when it happened, I went, "Oh shit!" And everybody in the theater heard me say it.
Oh no! Wow. Well, one of life's humbling moments, I suppose.
And then Lynn Anderson was really mad at me after that.
Aww.
I had no control over it.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. You've been vindicated. So this person who was telling us that they were trying to see her online for Roger Rabbit, and the friend goes, and then my friend who was wanting to be discreet, points right at her and yells to me, "There!" It was at that moment I realized I'd misheard him and was looking the whole time for Lonnie Anderson. Oh, that's quite a different person indeed. Oh, that's funny. That's a good one.
It is a good one. And then I was totally surprised when I found out she was married to Lou Reed.
I was going to mention that next. I know they were married. What an interesting pair. I wonder. I never found out. I wonder if they collaborated on music at all, or if they just know. They're so different. I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like 10. Okay. I've kept it quite a while, but I want to ask some more questions here. I want to ask about music a bit. But what's going on here? Here's a fun one. Oh, here.
That's me riding in a gyrocopter.
Oh.
So that's me up in the probably, I don't know, 800 or 1,000 feet in the air in a gyrocopter with a guy in front of me flying it.
Oh, wow.
Because I have this goal to fly in everything that flies, and I've done everything except a jet fighter. That's the only thing I have. I've been in an aerobatic stunt plane. I want to go up in a stunt plane and have them try and make.
My brother had an aerobatic stunt plane for a while, and since he'd been a test pilot, when at Edwards Air Force Base, I figured he's a safe person. But I never, in that time in my life, I was living in the wrong time zone, and by the time I was back, I never got to go up. But my grandma got to go up. I mean, everyone else got to go up. Yeah. Oh well, maybe he's building a plane now, so maybe I'll get to go up in a plane with him again. I my favorite plane, and I'm not a real plane person, but for some reason my favorite plane is the SR-71. I always thought that looked so cool.
It is really cool. I don't even know what my favorite plane is. I have no idea.
I don't know why I have a favorite plane.
Well, everybody should have a favorite plane. I'm fascinated and obsessed with flying, but I don't have a favorite plane really.
Because you just love them all.
I guess so. I mean, if you had to put me on the spot, I have no idea what my favorite plane would be. The one I'm flying in at the time.
Oh, see, yeah. This I think my brother has said that. Although my brother, okay, he's flown, the stealth bomber and B-52s and T-38s and all sorts of
Uh-huh.
things. And I asked him what his favorite thing to fly was, and I was really surprised when he told me it was gliders. He loves. He
Yeah.
thought sailplanes. Because he said that
Yep.
was felt the most like just flying, just flying. I'm like, oh, that sounds so beautiful. I mean, and I know you do that too, right? You paraglide, right?
Yeah. I'm answering.
Oh, have you done stalls in a Cessna?
Yeah. Stall. I said, yeah. I've done. I've learned. I'll just answer them. I'll just answer them because we're doing the interview. I don't have to type it out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I learned in a Piper Cherokee and 140 and a 160, I think both. And yeah, stalls are part of. You have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's part of the training. You have to do stalls so that you can recover from them. Yeah, it's basically when the plane doesn't have enough lift anymore, and the lift is broken on the wing, so it's not actually flowing over the wing and creating lift. It just kind of the
You lose the
aerodynamics of the wing are such that it doesn't create lift anymore, and so it just drops. The plane drops, the nose drops first, and it picks up speed again, and then you start flying again. But it's like being on the biggest roller coaster in the world. It's wonderful.
I used to know a guy who his family they created these little metal things that they would put on wings that were called vortex generators, and if they positioned them, they made little kits for different planes that would lower your stall speed. And
Oh, well, that's good.
they would practice kind of right near where I lived. I lived on a little island, and so they could fly over there because there was such a low population. They were able to fly over there. But I would be out gardening or whatever, and I would hear people just, what is that person's? Is this a flight school or what? These people are bad flyers. They just keep stalling over and
Yeah.
over. And then I met him, and then I found out, that it was his family that I'd been hearing as his
Testing
design. But they were called vortex generators, and so they're little. They're just little. Vortex generator sounds so grand, but it's just like a little
Something that
thing.
attaches
But
to the tip of the wing.
figured exactly where to put it, and they have different kits. You buy them, and you can put them on your planes. And yeah, so I thought it's just such a clever thing. And then the whole idea of boundary layers really fascinates me. It's like that whole in between area. It made me realize that's where like the beach. We love the beach because it's just changing, and it's that
It's a
boundary.
liminal space.
Liminal, yeah. Before I ever heard the word liminal, I thought of boundary layers. Let's see, people are asking you stuff here. Everybody, ask Greg questions. This is question time because we're getting up on 2 hours or something. I've had.
Yeah, yes. Shikon, yes, like a James Bond gyrocopter, the kind that
that's what you're in. Oh, you're in
has a giant rotor on the top that just spins like a windmill.
Mm-hmm.
And a push propeller behind you, and it pushes you through the air. And as you move, it makes the thing windmill because it's basically the blades are at an angle, so it starts windmilling, and it windmills fast enough, it creates lift. So,
someone, Greg, the astroplane. Oh, I guess another plane. Yeah, have you been there, man? You got to do them all.
I don't think so. I think I've been.
You got the cat again.
Yeah, it was. The gyrocopter, because I was out flying ultralights in the desert, and there was a gyrocopter meet there where there were like 20, 30, 40 gyrocopters.
Oh, wow.
And one of the guys was giving rides, and I said, hey, man, because he was giving them for free, and like an idiot, I said,
nice.
if I give you some aviation fuel, will you give me a ride? He said, yes. So I gave him some of my aviation fuel because that's what I use, and that's what he used in his gyrocopter. And because I noticed he was putting in it was blue. It's like, hey, that's aviation fuel. It's blue.
Mm.
So, which is 100 octane. Huh?
I didn't know aviation is blue. I can't say it.
It's colored blue, so you can tell. Yeah.
Oh.
So you can tell it from other types of fuel.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's this like light blue or something. Anyway, he took me up, and I think he gave me a little bit longer of a ride. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because I give him the fuel, and he started doing things. He said, "Do you want me to dive at the ground?" I said, "Yep." So he kind of stalled it and dived at the ground, and did this like not a dive, but he kind of did this big spiral, and we were just looking at the ground, getting closer and closer like this, and I loved it.
Oh, wow.
I went in a helicopter.
Sounds dangerous.
It probably is, but I went in a helicopter with my flight instructor because he taught helicopters too. And at the end, he said, "Do you want to do an auto rotate?" And I said, "Well, he was going to do it." I said, "Yeah, do it." An auto rotate is like your engine quits.
Oh.
And if your engine quits in the helicopter, you have to get the blade turning as quickly as possible.
Jeez.
So you basically point it at the ground and you feather the blade so they hit the air fast at an angle so they start spinning really fast.
I wouldn't want to be there.
Oh, he said, you want to do an auto rotate? And I said, yes, do it now. We're like 1,000 feet up.
Oh, wow.
100 feet. So he said, engine out, and he turned it to idle, points the helicopter at the ground, and we're just sitting in the front watching the ground speeding towards us, and I can hear the prop going, whoop, 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 and it starts going really fast. A couple hundred feet from the ground, he just feathers it out, and we land like a feather. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And he'd done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah, you're with an expert, so yeah. That's when I think of you. Oh, I would love to go on the Vomit Comet.
Me too.
Wouldn't that be fun? Just like, oh, what an experience!
Yeah,
like, yeah, I would totally.
They didn't close it up, but they were letting people sign up to go on a rocket around the moon with somebody that bought a flight from Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Here's people are talking about getting back to the astral plane. Have you ever had an out of body experience, Greg?
No, I haven't. I've read books about it. I know that. What's that? The projection of the astral body by Sylvan Muldoon. That's probably one of the best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how to do it, what it is, or at least that guy's idea of what it is. And
I accidentally did it when I was 6 and I was having a bike wreck. I had no idea what it was. I just was I'd gotten on the bike and I waited till the big kids went in, and my bike had coaster brakes. You just pedaled backwards.
I remember those.
So I got up on a big kid's 10 speed and started going down this hill that went off to a cliff into a bunch of like debris with like cinder blocks and broken glass. And as I was headed down, I thought, oh, time to brake. I start pedaling backwards and like nothing happens. Oh, I'm like, oh, I think these things are the brakes. And I'm trying to squeeze them and my hands are too small. So I go off the cliff. And I'm bouncing down, and at that point, I'm standing on the side of the road with some guy, and I'm thinking, wow, I really look like a rag doll, because I was bouncing, like I look like a Raggedy Ann. Yeah. And then, bam! I was back in my body, and my eye was full of blood because I'd gotten cut on my eyelid. But yeah, it wasn't until years later when I was like, oh wait, because I was trying to see at the time, it's like that whole Defies Language. I was trying to explain or ask my parents, like, can you watch yourself sometimes when you're in danger? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? I kept trying to approach it from different ways. A 6-year-old would. And then finally I just gave up on it and didn't think much about it. I didn't think it was, I was scared about the bike stuff. But anyway, so that's my big OBE, my first one ever. What's this?
Yeah.
Oh, har, tzatziki saucer on your gyrocopter. Now we're really getting hungry. I love Greek food.
Me too. And
Greek food. Oh, has Greg ever been to Area 51? Yeah, everybody fire off questions for Greg, because like I've kept him long.
I have. Oh. I went there in, when was Larry King there? At Larry King Live at Area 51. I went out there, I think it was 97 or 96 or something. Maybe it was after. Anyway,
yeah, I think
if you go online and type in Larry King Live at Area 51, a write-up is there that Dennis Stacy from the MUFON Journal
I got you here.
About us getting in a car in Vegas and driving out to Area 51 and interviewing Larry King about the show. And yeah, I got to interview Larry King about.
Oh my gosh, you've interviewed so many people. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, I've got to look that up.
Somebody else set it up, but I was just happened to be with him. Dennis Stacy called the producer beforehand and said, "Can we talk to Larry maybe?" And they said, "Well, maybe." And we got there and they said, "Oh yeah, you." And he went into a trailer somewhere. Larry King came out and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he took us on a tour of the set and talked about why we're there. And I asked him about his own UFO sighting. And it was pretty amazing. So yeah, and then we drove when the show was on. Glenn Campbell, who used to be the not the singer, but the guy that used to run the Area 51 Research Center out there, he gave us a walkie-talkie to borrow, and we drove out to the Mailbox Road and then to the perimeter of Area 51 where the sign says "Don't go any further. Use of deadly force authorized." So we went right up to that sign. Saw one of the Jeeps come up to the top of the hill and look at us through binoculars, and then we left. And the whole time we were listening to the show on this walkie-talkie because all the people on the crew had walkie-talkies and they were tuned to a certain frequency, and we could hear the show and all the behind the scenes people talking on our little walkie-talkie that he lent to us.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a cool little episode. And then we went back after the show was over and had dinner at the Little Alien. And
I want to go there. Yeah. I saw it on X-Files. Yeah. Oh man, that's neat. That is neat. All right, I'm looking to see if we got other questions from people.
I don't know why I sent you that picture.
Oh, well, I brought it up for Area 51, but I realized we're coming high on.
We were in Utah
hour and a half
on a camp out, and we were hiking, and somebody had that little alien doll. So I held it up with my hand just out of frame, so it looked like he was just having a nice hike out in Utah in the canyon.
Yeah. It looks great. I mean, that's better effects than some old movies I've seen. That is great. I like it. All right, I'm looking to see if anyone has more questions for you, and I realize, okay, I did say I would not keep you. I'd keep you an hour and a half, so I have. I want to remind everybody they need to go to Radio y'all. If you have not been to Radio Misterioso, you need to go there. Come on, there is so much to dig into. That's the only way I ever do any household chores is to like throw on a podcast like this, and it's so fun. I love your style of interviewing.
Thank you.
It's really nice. I like the relaxed style a lot. It's really very nice. But you talk to so many cool people too. Oh, and I should remind people to come back on Tuesday. Oops, wrong person. Well, I did her. She was really fun. I did her. She was on last Tuesday.
It looks fun.
Doesn't she? She is a blast. We talked about weird places in Colorado and stuff, and that was a really fun interview. But I wanted to remind people that Daniel Allen Jones is going to be with me on Tuesday. Although this is the day I get my second COVID shot. So hopefully by 4 p.m. my time, I'll still be feeling okay. But or won't. I mean, who knows how it'll affect me? It varies. I've noticed.
Different for everybody.
So, yeah, it is so different. It is just so different across the board. And yes, but like I said, make sure you go. As soon as we're done here, you go to Radio Misterioso because it's so worth it. A lot of fun. And like friend us on Facebook. I'm there. I think, because we got to make them share that double rainbow photo.
All right.
And I just want to say thank you so much for being with me on April Fool's Day. This is really fun. I wanted to do something different, and I just thought you'd be a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I want to do it again very soon.
Someone because there's things I want to ask you about that I didn't even get to. Just stopped in to show support. Yes, it's support. I'm slurring my words here. Yes, we've been drinking, Debbie, and no, fully sober, just goofy. Yes. Well, thank you very much. Oh, here we go. Greg, are your eyeglasses marked Mother's Bow Devo frames?
No, they're not. I wish I had marked Mother's Bow frames. Yeah, no, these are they're like this brand from Germany called, what are they called?
Can you read them without your glasses, though?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
ICI Berlin. I guess they're made in Germany, and they're it's titanium sheet metal cut into these shapes of a. It doesn't even have. It doesn't have a hinge. It just has pieces of metal that kind of bend.
Snazzy.
So yeah, well, I've had them for like 9 years because I really like them.
That's good. Most of my stuff doesn't last that long. I'm hard on my stuff.
I used
someone really great live YouTube, best one that I've experienced. Well, thank you so much, Wade. That's awfully high praise. Thanks so much. All right. And I always try to give people a couple minutes because I know they don't type as fast as I do. So sometimes I'm like, does anyone have questions? You don't? Chop, chop, bye. And then they're like, the questions come in and I'm like, oh, so sorry. But if anyone's here and they haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that if you liked it. I mean, but if you're here this long, come on, you must have liked it.
Yeah.
So there. What are you doing here? All right. Well, thank you so much, Greg. I'm going to say goodnight. I'll let you go and have your dinner now that we've made you talk about all sorts of food. Kept steering every conversation back to food. I don't know
Everybody's hungry, you know.
We're all hungry. Yes, let's all go eat. Everybody enjoy, and everybody thanks, whether you're watching live or you come back later and watch later. Thanks so much. And I'm going to try and get Greg back on here again sometime. So bye, y'all.
Bye.